The courtroom doors swung open with a hollow echo, and R.M. Qureshi felt his heartbeat stop. He had prepared himself for anger, for tears, for cold indifference. But not for this. Not for the unmistakable curve beneath Hadia Mirza's soft blue maternity dress. Not for the truth that stood before him in broad daylight, 7 months pregnant, holding divorce papers in trembling hands. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Your support keeps stories of hope alive. Sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows of the family court building, casting clear white light across the polished floors. Outside, the city moved on in ordinary rhythm, cars passing, vendors calling, children laughing on their way home from school. But inside, R.M.'s world tilted. He had not seen Hadia in 5 months. 5 months since she walked out of their apartment after a storm of misunderstandings, pride, and silence that neither of them had known how to fix. He had told himself she wanted freedom. She had told herself he didn't care enough to fight. Now she stood before him, her light brown hair tied neatly at the nape of her neck, her face thinner but glowing with the unmistakable softness of impending motherhood. The gentle swell beneath her dress was undeniable. The child she carried was his. R.M. had spent the past months burying himself in work at his architectural firm, sketching buildings that touched the sky while his own home had crumbled to dust. He remembered the night she left, her suitcase by the door, the silence heavier than any argument. He had been too proud to ask her to stay. She had been too hurt to explain what she needed. Their marriage had not ended with betrayal or scandal. It had ended with exhaustion. Hadia moved slowly toward the bench, one hand resting protectively on her belly. There was no anger in her eyes now, only a quiet determination. She had come to finalize what they had both started. R.M.'s mind raced back to the early days. Morning walks in the park under bright daylight skis, shared cups of tea on their balcony, whispered plans about children, and a small house by the river someday. Somewhere between career pressure and family expectations, those dreams had been replaced with criticism and distance. He had dismissed her loneliness as oversensitivity. She had mistaken his stress for lack of love. The judge had not yet entered the courtroom. There was still time that felt both merciful and cruel. He noticed the faint dark circles under her eyes. Pregnancy had not been easy. Had she faced doctor appointments alone? Had she assembled the crib by herself? The thought pierced him deeper than any accusation could have. Hadia had discovered she was pregnant 2 weeks after leaving. By then, their silence had grown thick and stubborn. She had tried calling once, but his phone had been off during a business trip. Pride had done the rest. She convinced herself that if he truly cared, he would come looking for her. He convinced himself that if she wanted to return, she would reach out again. And so months passed, 2 wounded hearts waiting for the other to break first. Now reality stood between them, breathing softly, 7 months along. R.M. slowly approached her, careful, as if sudden movement might shatter everything. He saw the way her fingers tightened around the envelope. This was not vengeance. This was protection. She was preparing to raise their child alone if she had to. A memory surfaced uninvited, Hadia once telling him, under the clear noon sun of a picnic afternoon, that she feared raising a child in a house filled with tension. She had grown up watching her parents, constant arguments. She had promised herself her own child would never feel unwanted. In that bright courtroom, R.M. finally understood. This was never about leaving him. It was about protecting a future. His chest tightened with regret. He realized how often he had chosen being right over being kind. How often he had answered vulnerability with silence. The divorce papers in her hands were not weapons, they were shields. For the first time in months, his pride dissolved. He did not see an opponent. He saw the woman who had once believed in him more than anyone else. He saw the mother of his unborn child standing alone because he had failed to stand beside her. The courtroom doors remained closed. Minutes stretched like fragile threads. Something shifted in the space between them. Not dramatic, not loud, but real. The kind of shift that happens when truth finally breaks through stubbornness. Hadia looked up at him, and in her eyes flickered the same fear he carried. Fear of raising a child in a broken story. Outside, the daylight remained steady, warm and unwavering. Life was still offering them a chance. RM felt it then, not just guilt, but clarity. Families are not destroyed in one storm, they erode in daily neglect. And they are rebuilt the same way, through daily effort, humility, and courage. Whether they would sign those papers or walk out together was still uncertain. But for the first time, both understood what was truly at stake. Not pride, not ego, a child, a future, a home that could still be healed. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Your engagement helps these messages of hope reach someone who might need them today. And before we end, comment, second chances matter, if you believe love is worth fighting for.